No, there's nothing wrong with your screen, bro. I am really this ugly. Yeah, this is 100% human-produced content, and it's still me in front of a real camera. This is a real human voice. Yeah, quite flawed, by the way, and quite ugly. Sorry, but it is genuine. I don't know about you, but I am gravitating towards only human-produced content. I've gotten to where I loathe AI stuff. I just loathe it. It is so artificial, fake, made up. It just really doesn't have any basis for me in entertainment, information, realness. I hate it. No, this is me, still ugly, still in front of the camera, which I hate doing, but I've been doing it coming up on 20 years. We are durable here in the Nutnfancy project, and here comes another by request tactical systems video. I like that. Perhaps another touchstone in my mini produced, actually. I have many at this point. Depending on the views, I always say this, it might be a series, because I have to focus one thing at a time in this umbrella of a subject. Otherwise, the video will go 7 hours. Yeah. Where's my comb? Nutnfancy, I don't have any time for that. Just wrap it up. Give me like 5 minutes. You're in the wrong place, bro. I always say this. You're in a video hosting platform. I will post this in my Rumble feed. Please go to Rumble, Nutnfancy, subscribe. The guys in Patreon Clubhouse get everything that I produce, and become a paying member in Patreon. You get everything, like probably 4 times the content you see on my other feeds. A channel, B channel, and YouTube, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, so subscribe, hit the notification bell, support the content, and if you do so monetarily, I continue to work very hard for you. My time is worth money, bro. And we are kind of talking about that, by the way. Money. This, I said, is a by request video, and it is focusing directly on money.
Let me shoot that.
Well, not money per se as the end goal, but how people just don't have a lot of it. And Nutnfancy, how do I prioritize my spending in this clown world where I feel like I have 1,000 things I need to prep up? Help me focus of how to spend my money. I don't know if you know this, but I do host live feeds, at least like when I post a video. It's basically a live chat. I will do super chats on my B channel, which is still monetized, although the views are horrible. Yeah, I'll do it over there. And on A channel, I would say frequently, probably 1 or 2 a month, I'll do live chats. A recurring theme when I do a live chat video activation. So I activate a video, it premieres, I should say premiere chat. Guys are telling me how little money they have. They say, they're very gracious, they're very nice. And they're saying, we love your content. Thanks for still being here. Thanks for producing it. Thanks for being a human and not an AI robot. We love it. But I said, well, come over to Patreon. I mean, $1 per creation. I charge $7 per month. That's $7 a month. I don't have tier levels. And dude will say, well, I don't even have money for that. And I'm like, okay, I feel bad for you. I hope things improve, and I really do. We're going to make this video for that guy. That we're going to just assume he really is barely squeaking by. Now, I want to be fair to the subject, and we live in some crazy times where wages are extremely low. Guys are working 2 jobs just to make ends meet. They're not getting raises. If they do, they're paltry. Living expenses are extremely high. Rent, mortgage, insurance, car, healthcare stuff. You guys know the deal. And yet through all this, they still want to be prepped up. They want to be prepared for what is coming. In this episode, we're going to talk about prepping on the cheap, guns. Heavy on philosophy, light on specific models, more or less. We could be here all night if I talk about specific models. But that is the overarching goal, is we're going to take this guy who might be new to TNP, and unlike maybe you, who have been with me for a very long time. I'm talking, we're coming up again on 20 years. There's guys that have been with me the whole time. There's guys that have been with me 10 years, a lot of guys 10 years. My approach in the project has always been buy incrementally, not everything at once. So it's called a project because I go from one thing to the next, fun things, necessary things, and my intent is that you buy and produce your preparedness systems along the way, and that's exactly what a lot of TNPrs have. So maybe you're tuning in just for kicks. This will be entertaining. I am entertaining, although quite flawed and quite ugly, as I established. So it'll be entertaining, but there might be a subset of TNPrs that are trying to downsize, and they're like, what's the bare minimum I should have? And again, the focus of this is firearms. So prepping on the cheap, firearms, what should I have? This is just my opinion, but I have good common sense. I have consistent opinions, consistent approaches to systems. As you guys know, that's why you keep tuning in, and you know you can trust me. My voice is not bought for by any sponsor, any business, any corporation, any dealer. I say whatever I want. Always have, always will. Okay, that is the sword I will fall on. I will always say what I want because my job is just to serve your interests. Okay, so it's dude who literally is just scraping by. Let's say he lives in an apartment. That might change. He might live in a house depending on what we talk about. But he just doesn't have a lot of money. This is going to be a discussion we haven't had in TNP before. Because we are going to do things, again, if this becomes a series, we are going to do things on the cheap. Foundationally speaking, there's a couple things I want to say before I go into the subset of firearms on the cheap. Forget about second cool. Okay, that's a luxury you cannot afford. In other words, a gun that's cool, that my friends like, that I go to this forum, they like it, my video game dudes love it. No, forget that. You don't have money. You're going to go for first cool. You're going to go for functionality. Not necessary reputation either. Because I have a couple guns on the table here, and they are fantastic. However, on the internet, they don't have a very good reputation. Because the AEs, the armchair elitists go, we've determined that's not a gun we're going to recommend to anybody. And usually that's because they're getting a handout, money under the table, free stuff under the table. Yeah, it happens all the time. Don't get me started. But no, this guy is going to go for first cool, practicality. Before I go into that, and I will hammer that several times in this video, which I don't know how long it's going to be, but you're here for a good time. Hit it on 1.25 speed, 1.5 speed, or just break it off in chunks. Myself, I love long content. I don't like short content. I think it's retarded and gay. Okay? It really is. I like long form content as long as it is interesting. Don't know if I'm going to post this on B channel, A channel. Definitely Rumble will get it. What I was going to say, philosophically speaking, if you and I say money is tops, I do want to have a self-defense capability, AK firearms in my possession. However, money is paramount. I have a baby coming. I'm married. We have a car payment, all the bills. Your first option, if money is truly your priority and some things should and probably do trump firearms ownership at this stage of your life, you could not be armed. That's your first option. Did he just actually say go unarmed? No, I didn't say go unarmed. I said it's an option. If you want to save ultimate money, like let's say you're a smoker and you go, man, I'm spending way too much money on cigarettes. Quit smoking. Man, I'm spending way too much money on firearms. Quit buying firearms. Sell everything you got. Sell your ammo, your magazines, your scopes, everything. Just clean house. Benefits of that, more money. Benefits of that, no legal problems. Because as the clamps tighten, as years go on, the Dems get back in power. I've always said this, brace yourselves. And we'll have drones and probably mechs doing the disarmament policy of this now corrupt country. Yeah, it really is corrupt, especially after CKA. Again, I digress. Your most cost-efficient way is just don't own guns. Maybe you go with a baseball bat option, which I think is retarded and gay. But there's some guys that do it. Maybe you think your hand-to-hand combat skills are awesome. Maybe you go edged weapons, which are close last-ditch options. Paramilitary in the house. Very excellent in that beautiful purple. I'll put some links below. Love that knife. Oh my gosh, it makes me awesome. You can forget this though. This is way too expensive for you, bro. Forget it. You're going to go with a Chinese-produced crap knife. And we're not talking about blades now. We're talking about firearms. Save money, ultimate money. Don't go armed. Does that have a risk? Of course it does. It means you are really not autonomous. It means that you're going to have to depend on someone else for your protection. You're going to have to beg, perhaps. You're going to have to run away a lot. You should be doing that anyhow if it comes to lethal force. I want to say this, and I know you guys think I'm kidding. I'm not, because there's some guys that I don't know if they should be armed. I'm not saying they're cuckoo. That's not what I'm saying. I just don't know if they're ready for the commitment. Because the commitment isn't just cost. It's legality, fighting for your legal rights to own those guns. It's never, ever ending. I always say you should give to GOA, NRA. Yes, I still support those organizations. It's the best we've got. Fight, 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 fight. I'm not an accelerationist. All of that. And then training. Training is time consuming. It's expensive. You need to practice. And there's other additional things to the guns you should get, like holster systems. But it's an option. I want to throw that out there. I'll be interested to see your comments on that aspect, especially like don't go armed. And by the way, this is not political in me saying that. I'm not saying, oh, don't go armed because you're a pacifist. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying to save money, put your funds to more needed things. We're talking about first and second cool. Forget about second cool, a gun that turns you on. This is awesome. Walnut, steel, polished blue. Forget it. You don't have money for that in here. You're going to go for the ugly duckling, the island of misfit toys, as I've always said jokingly. Couple here again. And you're going to have to establish priorities immediately. This is still foundational. What do I mean by priorities? I think if you've come to this video, I think you kind of blew past that don't go armed. You've already decided you want to go armed. You just want to know how to do it. In my opinion, that's all it is, to do it to save money. Cool. I have never met a TNPr, going back to my many years of doing this project, even the young ones who were not armed, especially the young dads. They feel an obligation to protect their wife, their girlfriend, their little babies, and that is God-given. So I give you kudos to that. So if we're going to answer what are your priorities, your priority, sir, is to defend your family, and you need the tools to do so when we go into without rule of law. So there's no functioning police, medical services, power, fuel deliveries, transportation services, or iffy at best. It's going to be up to you. That's your priorities. Now, if we were to go back to the guy who says, oh, I'm not going to get armed, really, what are we saying? His priority is not to be prepared. His priority is to function better in rule of law, to use that money he would have put towards guns. Maybe he puts it towards a car. He puts it towards a vacation, food supply. Yeah, I may make that too. We'll see. I'm going to concentrate heavily on the used market, because there's a lot of great guns in the used market. You could go to your local gun stores. Go to Gunny's, the Great American Gun Store at Orem, Utah. They've been supporting me for many, many years. They have a great selection of used guns and very low prices. Very low prices. The one thing that I would like, if you could possibly do it, is maybe buy from a private seller so you don't run a paper trail of that gun to you. So a federal form filled out. If you go to any gun store, you will have that. It's not the end of the world. I have a ton of guns that I've had to use that for. I mean, I'm a reviewer. I mean, it's a business for me. So I have to do it. And I obey the law for sure. But for you, if you can find a private seller, be better. Definitely would be better. I'm not going to talk about prices too much because they vary so much. Let's just broadly state that the guns I'm going to talk to will be pretty expensive, maybe at the bottom tier of the competition, give or take. Some of you guys may disagree. Well, that's not that inexpensive. It's the best I could do. I don't have every gun here in the warehouse. I'm just going to show you a smattering. We'll talk about some other ones. I do think, philosophically speaking, I've always said in my reviews, and by the way, if you string all those reviews together, all these questions will be asked. There's a thread of philosophy that goes through all the handgun reviews, tactical carbine reviews, bolt action reviews. But this, and in all my systems videos, it just kind of brings it together and coalesces it so it's a one-stop shopping for you dudes. But we've answered this stuff, and I will talk to it in a lot of ways. I've always thought it's kind of dumb to get a very inexpensive gun. I have to say that because I've said that in the reviews. The reason I say this is because when I buy stuff, generally speaking, I am buying for the long term. I'm not buying for short term like a lot of you guys do. Case in point, when I was a very poor college student, I bought, and this isn't it, but it represents it, a SIG P226. And here comes an E2, discontinued a long time ago with a Balder Pro laser light combo on there. Link below. I freaking love Balders. But no, you don't sell your 226, dude. See, now, that's a whole discussion. Guys, well, I need the money, and I wasn't really using it. When you find a great pistol like a 226, although this is going in the second cool, to be honest, you hang on to it. But let's go back to my point. My point was I didn't have any money, and I bought a very expensive combat handgun, which I still have to this day. Again, this is not my original one. Yes, I have more than one, but this is representative. And you can see it's still in system. It's hot, loaded up, ready to go. My load on this, it looks like 115 grain, standard pressure, XTPs. Fine for me because I hit what I'm shooting at. Thank you. Thank you. With a Metgar magazine. I've tried to sell people on this concept of saving $100 in the long term is kind of chump change. I want to say that just because I've represented it, but for this exercise, we're not doing that. We're going to say we're going to save every dollar we possibly can, and we'll try to minimize the cost of your tiny arsenal. I said I wouldn't mention prices. I'm not going to really dictate the brands you should stick with. I'm just going to kind of mention a smattering of what has tested well here, and yet I think is a very high value, workable option in the realm of self-defense. Okay, and again, prices are all over the map. I will give you ammunition minimums and magazine minimums in this video. And again, we're assuming you're super poor, and that also that you're solo. You're not really part of a neighborhood project that you can interlace your weaponry with others to expand its capabilities. You don't have anybody to do neighborhood patrols with. It's just you, your wife, and your 2 babies. Let's just say that. And I do want to throw this in. I think small arms in the big scheme of things are pretty gay. What did he just say? They really are. In terms of affecting combat outcomes, unless you have a coordinated group of dudes that really know what they're doing. I think small arms are really just a stopgap measure to get out of there and to run away. And I'm talking all of small arms. And I think here comes a earth-shattering opinion from Nutnfancy. I think we're on the cusp with this AI stuff. I think we're going to see that firearms really are kind of de-emphasized as we go along here. The globalists do not want you owning firearms. I'm not saying that. But if some evil entity wants us dead, there's a bazillion ways to get it done. They don't have to use a firearm. They can use micro drones, high-speed drones, mechs, robots, exploding lavalier microphones, and a bunch of other stuff. Why did I throw that in there? Well, because it's for shock value, yes, but there's also a reason behind it. My reason is don't put too much emphasis and trust in your firearms assortment to ensure that you're going to be A-okay as the world turns upside down. I don't mean to be a fatalist, but I feel that way. I mean, yeah, I will do what I can, but I feel like, it's a pop gun. Even an AR-15 is a pop gun. It's nothing in the big scheme of things, especially if you go up against super armed, well-organized, highly technical adversaries. Sorry for that. I know, it was a bombshell. On we go with the video. I have 3 types of guns, just 3. I don't think this is really earth-shattering. I think that a lot of people would agree with my assortment of what is your priority when it comes to owning a gun. Maybe, remember, it's a safety net, not an insurance policy. We're trying. Number 1, a 9mm pistol should be your number 1 pistol gun that you have. Now check this out. After I talk about some options, philosophy of use of this type of weaponry, I will go full stop. In other words, you may think that I'm going to say, okay, you need to get this. Okay, now you need to get that. Okay, now you need to get this. I'm not doing that in this video because we are assuming very tight, limited funding. I think, let me throw a percentage out. I hate to do this because it's so variable depending on your circumstance. But I would say, yeah, that's a high percentage. Let's go 80% of your self-defense needs, even in without rule of law, will be handled by a pistol. That's right. Now, let's talk philosophy of use first, and I'll go through just a couple models, and I have a couple here. The advantages of having a pistol are numerous. Number 1, SAWC. Size and weight constraints. Here comes the Zigana PX9, and this is coming out of the island of misfit toys. No one liked this gun, but it's absolutely awesome. Takes SIG P226 mags. Very excellent. Wearing another Olight weapon light. Is that a Valkyrie? Yeah, Valkyrie 2 mini. Could be the 3, 4. This is a great pistol. But with a pistol, I'm able to conceal it more readily. I'm able to integrate it into more systems like a vehicle bug out kit, a regular bug out kit. Although I don't think 9mm is your best caliber because it's too heavy for a human-born bug out kit. But the fact remains it's way more concealable than a rifle or any other type of gun. Pistol. Now, I'm not saying necessarily you have to go with a subcompact like a P365, a Springfield Armory Hellcat, MC9 by Canik. You can think there are a couple guns that actually transcend subcompact and go into full-size realm, like the P365 XL. It's in my motorcycle drop down, which is not here right now. But that's my motorcycle gun, and that flexes into a full-size combat handgun roll and also a concealed, super concealed roll as well. Advantages of the firearm. You can ditch it easier. If you have to, for whatever reason, hide it and then return back to that location for whatever reason later, it's way easier doing it with a pistol than another firearm. You never thought of that? You should. Or to stow it somewhere, to have it ready in position. I mean, if you're going to have like an AR-15 or something with a bunch of rounds, you're going to have a long burial tube. Put it in a piece of land that you own. Don't put it in any public property ever, or friend's property, and you'll have it pre-positioned. But a pistol is just so much easier to do. Dude, if you were to go through this country and find out, I'd love to know the stat of how many people have buried pistols with ammunition ready to go. I bet you, I don't want to say 1 million, but I bet you 500,000 people do in this country, and that's a lot. Why? Another advantage is they're really not that expensive. For what you're getting, the self-defense capability from a pistol, they're very affordable, especially really good ones. And we are living in, strangely enough, in this clown world we live in, we're living in the golden age of combat pistols. We have so many great designs. I test them all the time. It's very rare I take a semi-automatic 9mm combat pistol out to the desert and it doesn't do pretty darn good.
Sometimes those won't lie.
There are some exceptions. Yes, there are, but they're just amazing for the amount that you get. The ammo is cheaper. The ammo is lighter to carry. You can carry more of it for an equivalent weight. It's cheaper to train with. So shooting 9mm, one of the lesser expensive centerfire cartridges. And yes, you will have to practice, train. So that goes back to the factoring in costs, because you're like, well, I don't have a lot of money. Well, I don't really recommend you getting a gun and not practicing it. I've always said at least twice a year, at least 200 rounds with dry fire sessions in between. Another advantage of pistols is they're great bedside guns, great tent guns, are easy to get into action very quickly. Now, I was saying that all small arms are somewhat gay, and I will say that pistols even more so. They're not really fight stoppers. 10mm is my favorite cartridge, but I'm talking like full power Underwood, Buffalo Bore, something super hot. But even still, there's bad guys that for whatever reason will take multiple rounds, even from a 10mm, and they keep functioning. Again, I'm throwing that in there because we don't want to make it into like this a system that we can always rely upon to drop a bad guy doing bad things to us. By the way, foundationally speaking, with the guns, the pistol, don't put an optic on it. Dude that doesn't have a lot of money, you don't have money. If a guy goes, well, I want that gun, but I really want to put an optic on it, you're kind of lying then. Because if you have money for an optic, you're looking at least 150, maybe 250 to put that micro red dot on there. I don't think you need it. I've always said that. I've always maintained it. I've demonstrated that through hundreds and hundreds of videos. I think it slows a lot of people down, including me. I think I'm slower with a red dot than just looking over the front top of the slide and blasting the fuck out of the guy. I meant the squirrel. You can have a revolver. I have autos, semi-autos represented here. But a revolver is an absolutely legitimate way to fill that pistol need in your system. It has an additional advantage of not needing magazines, easier to manipulate, easier for non-gun people to understand because they can see the ammunition, they can load it. You can get speed loaders. Those aren't very expensive. So I should have brought a couple to the table, but I will mention one when we get to models. Now, how many rounds should you have, Nutnfancy? This is just me. This is bare minimum. I say you need to have 500 rounds of defensive jacketed hollow point. Don't be too picky on what you're getting. Anything like a 115 grain standard pressure should do okay. I'm not going to say go plus Ps because those are very expensive. Standard pressure, buy them in 50 round boxes. Run at least a box through your pistol. Make sure you know it likes it and that how it prints out of that pistol, and then buy more. I'd really like it if you stuck to one load. You might go 2 loads, but you need 500 rounds. And then you need an ever-recurring 500-round training allotment. So at any given time, you will have 500 rounds at your place where you can just pull ammunition off the shelf and go practice. And I'm saying 200 rounds every 6 months. It doesn't have to be that much. I would like it. At least 100 rounds. And then when I pull that 100 rounds, now I'm down to 400. I have to replenish it back to 500 for training. I'm not touching my defensive 500. That stays there. I don't train with that unless you're just, whatever reason, want to shoot it. But you don't have a lot of money, dude. Hollow points are expensive. You need 4 magazines plus the 1 in the gun for your combat handgun. And that's going down from what I said in the past because I've always said 8. But for a pistol, you need 4 plus 1, 5 total. And also you need holster systems, and you need 3 holster systems. Probably an inside the waistband, a shoulder, and an additional one, however you want to carry it. It might be in the satchels that I've demonstrated with my EDC updates. And go to my videos because I've covered holsters. Just if you just want to save money and choose right, go with what I've reviewed. If you don't, you're on your own. If you're listening to other voices, you're on your own. So, if you come to me and go, I bought this holster, you didn't review it, I just did. I'm like, yeah, the guy was paid to do that review. Pistols to choose. You really can't go wrong with a used Glock. How did you know I was going to say that? Because you know me. It is one of my Hall of Fame combat handguns. It always will be. I led the whole Nutnfancy project off with my admonition for you guys to buy Glocks. And here we are 20 years later, and damn, I was right. Glocks continue to dominate the self-defense market. They continue to dominate the law enforcement and police and military markets as well. They are not very innovative. We haven't seen a lot of new stuff come out from Glock because they don't really have to. Everything they produce is sold just on reputation alone. If you get a used Glock, let's say it's a police trade-in, you're getting a fantastic pistol. Might be beat up, might have marks on it, but it's great. It'll serve you well. Just lubricate it, go over it. If you don't know what you're looking for, have a gunsmith look at it. Sorry. And it's a great combat pistol. Glock 19, Glock 22, Glock 17. Gunnies for the longest time had, red label trade-ins. I know SIG had red labels, but they're law enforcement or demo trade-ins. There's places online that you can ship to your FFL that will have that. Glocks. And you're really not spending that much money. Again, I don't want to spend too much time talking about prices because it's here and there. Another one, Isla Misfit Toys, the Smith & Wesson SD9. A pistol everybody hated. This is mine. I bought it from Gunnies, and here it is as a cast member doing what it does best, reminding you this is an absolutely functional, good combat handgun. I have installed an Apex trigger in there, and it was a son of a gun to put in. But now the trigger's amazing. It is one of the most accurate 9mm pistols I've ever shot. Just go looking for used Smith & Wesson SD9. Easy. Or any other models that just did not capture the imagination of the pistol buying dudes. Good examples. The Ruger SR9. Dude, you can have that for almost free. It's like I'd go to the watch market back when I was in the Air Force. I'd go to Riyadh, and the guy would be selling a watch. He'd go, "Oh, it's almost free, my friend." I was like, that's, you need to go lower. He's like, "I cannot go lower. It is almost free as it is." My accent's a lot better when I'm around him, but I could. The guys were awesome down there, by the way. I just loved hanging out with them, eating shawarmas and buying watches. Speaking of which, on this wrist, I have a U.S. Navy SEAL Luminox 4220 series. This is the approved NSN version, tritium. And then on this one, I have an Orient, I think Kano dive watch, very high value dive watch. Yeah, it's fun. So Ruger SR9, the Max 9, the Ruger 57, the GP 100. I told you I'd hit a revolver. The Security 9, the Ruger SP 101, just to name a few. The SP 101 is not a misfit. People love that gun. So is the GP 100. But my point is, you can get them for probably a song and a dance if you look around and are patient. How about the PSA Dagger Glock 19 clone? PSA has some amazing sales. That gun has tested extremely well. I carry them all the time. I trust the PSA Dagger. The Ruger RXM, akin to that, also a great gun. Although I've had more jams out of my RXM than I've ever had out of a Dagger. Go figure. Wait for the RXM review. It's coming soon. How about this? While it's not popular anymore, but I still love it. I have an M17, the SIG P320 series. What did he say? Still a great gun. Yeah, I'd use it, no problem. SIG P250, remember that one? Oh my gosh, everyone hated the P250. You see a trend here? If guys hated it, chances are you're going to go to a gun store, or maybe you'll go online, whoever sells guns, like Sam's Utah Gun Exchange. You'll check that out if you're in Utah. And you'll probably see some of these. CZ P10, Arex Delta M, Delta F, the full size. Those are great pistols. For whatever reason, people didn't love them. The Polymer EA Witness. Tactical Duel and I tested that, and it tested fantastic. What a great gun that is. It's basically a CZ75 clone in polymer. Taurus GX4. Taurus G3. Canik TP9 series. Oh my gosh, what's not to love about a Canik? Here's one in that super sick camouflage. Basically, takeoff on the Walther P99. All the Canik TP9s, including the original 55 with the decocking button on the top, which you guys hated. song and a dance. If you could find one of those ones, the 55 had a really hard trigger on it with a decocking button. I still own one of those. I love it. Never selling it. Oh, dude, you could get that for super cheap. Good ammunition capacity, a little bit heavier than the Glock. Accurate, all-day reliable. The TP9 series is a Hall of Famer. Just ask Sean the TNPr. That's all he carries. I showed you this one along with a bunch of other Turkish firearms. This is Zigana PX9, but there's other ones like SAR USA makes some. We've tested those. They test very, very well. Turkish-produced combat pistols are awesome. And that's all I'm going to say on that, just for time. And now is when I say the words, full stop. You didn't see that coming, did you? No, I mean it. That you buy a 9mm pistol, 4 magazines, ammunition, and holster allotments. I've discussed. Maybe you do some very inexpensive mods to the pistol. I don't like you doing that because you don't have a lot of money. Done. That's all you do. I said 80 to 90% of your self-defense needs will be handled with that firearm. Oh, another one. I didn't show you this one. This is another one that never caught on. The FN discontinued FNS. This is a long slide. This is combat worthy all day long. Forged barrel, hard chromed barrel. Very accurate, fast firing. Oh my gosh, what a great gun that is. The long slide was very sick. I've used this gun defensively for 10 years. Maybe not 10, but at least 8. At least 8 I have. Go watch my FNS videos and the other FNS ones. There's one that had a decocker on it early in TNP. You can find that one for a song and a dance. FNP? Was it the FNP? But anyways, you're done after buying a pistol. I know what you're saying. You want more capability. Nutnfancy, don't tease me like that. I want more than a single handgun. Bro, dude. Okay, breathe deep because we're going to round 2. Round 2 is when we bring in the tactical carbine. Now, the tactical carbine is going to be, let's be honest, an AR-15. Can we all just agree on that? Because it is the most popular tactical carbine for a reason. Ergonomic, adaptable, all types of different components. Pin up a different upper on it. The lower's the registered part. Different barrel lengths, different optics, all types of accessories if and when you get more money. And it's very accurate if done properly, very reliable if done properly. The AR-15 is, in my opinion, the best tactical carbine in the entire world, hands down. We've had a lot of competition to that. We have. And I've reviewed a lot of it, a lot of piston guns, and they've done quite well. Notice they have not replaced the AR-15 in our hearts, in our inventories, in our safes. Because if something really groundbreaking had come along, here's what would have happened. You would see a glut of used AR-15s coming up on the market as everybody sells them in to get a better system. And it hasn't happened. Through everything, all the SIG, guns, MCXs, everyone's just like, no, I'll just stick with this. Direct gas impingement AR-15. I won't go over all the brands because they're just legion. There's all kinds. You can go now, today, and all this goes up and down. It's cyclical, depending on anti-gun legislation, who's in office. But now gun prices, when I'm making this, are low. You can go in, I will mention a price here, and you can get an AR-15 off the rack, a really good one, new, for $600. Maybe $500, maybe less. $450. That is insane. Those guns 10 years ago were selling for not 1,000, but 800 was common. 900 was common, depending on which brand and what features it had. You don't have to go with an AR-15. You can go something more off the beaten path, which I still love. The Kel-Tec SU-16 series. I still have those. Love them. Use them. They're great vehicle guns. They fold in half. They're accurate enough. They're reliable. They're piston driven. The only thing I don't like about the SU-16 series is they're just not modular and easy to work on like an AR-15. Like, to break it apart, I have to, not break it apart, but to field strip, I have to take the damn optic off. And it does have a polymer rail on it, which is problematic. For ultimate accuracy, you never want a polymer rail. You want forged 7000 series aluminum, integral to the upper receiver, like an AR-15. But it still gets a job done. Mini 14, nope. Nope. Mini 14s have gone way up in price. They're collectible now. They are dripping with second cool. The older, more special the Mini 14s, the more expensive it is. I see Mini 14s, used ones that are very clean and certain serial number ranges, well over $1,000. Even new ones are about that. So you might find a beater. The guy, a private seller, doesn't know, but they've entered the realm of second cool. You get something like a Century Arms C93, PTR 91. I don't think you should go with a 308. You should stick with 5.56. Something funky like an AK. It's not funky. I love it. An AK variant, maybe a VZ 2008. Those are great, but they just go watch my AK versus AR-15 series. I've posted 2 series of those over the years. I have nothing to add to those. The AR just dominates it in every possible way, except for maybe, let's go 300 Blackout, which I have one here. Just in ergonomics, adaptability, parts, all that stuff. There's a reason why most guys don't run AKs. I still love AKs. Don't think I don't. You can go with a bolt action rifle. I recommend you get a magazine fed one. It's not ideal. It is legal in more places. That's a benefit. You could have a dual purpose gun, meaning that you could use it as a hunting rifle. But I wouldn't do it in 5.56 if I'm going deer hunting, elk hunting. It'd be like a 30-06. 308 is kind of underpowered for that. I'd really like 7mm Remington Magnum for that. But again, that ammunition is super expensive. You can't afford it. You could go with a Mosin Nagant. I've done a ton of Mosin content. I really probably overdid it in the day. But that's when Mosin ammo was very inexpensive. It's not inexpensive anymore, but you could get an allotment of it and you could run a Mosin. I think a Mosin out of the box is very rough. It's hard to run properly. You'll have jams with it. The sights are absolutely atrocious. It needs work. I think Mosins out of the box are total shit, if I'm going to be honest. And I think you'd be way better off getting a modern sporting rifle like a Mossberg, a Savage, a Ruger, one of these low-cost ones that's meant for entry-level hunting. A lot of them come with scopes. They are fantastic. And maybe with that gun, if all hell breaks loose, you can go get yourself a sweet AR-15 later. Yeah, bolt-action rifles are an option. Not tactical, but they're an option. How about lever-action rifles? How about yes? Not tactical lever actions. Those are expensive. They're running about $1,000. They're super. Most of them are super heavy. I tested the Dark Ops by Ruger. Hated it. I think a lot of them are just stupid. I think a regular lever action, old school lever action, with just iron sights would get the job done. And it's really, if someone said, if I asked him, I was like, hey, what's your tactical carbine you defend your family with? He goes, it's a Winchester Model 94 30-30, and I'm really good with it. Maybe like mine, you put a Williams receiver sight on it, and now you have some really good iron sights. And I'm like, damn, okay, respect. Maybe it's a Marlin, old school Marlin, or the Henry arms. The Henry's making some great lever actions. It is an option. Not the most tactical, not the most beloved in the internet, but again, for just firing a few shots and running away, it is an option. So many that I could cover here. It's just getting ridiculous. You could go with a single shot. I can hear you laughing right now. I'm not joking. A single shot in the hands of someone who knows how to load and fire that single shot rapidly it's no laughing matter. I've seen guys run a single shot and you go, damn, that guy's fast and he's good. And those guns are lightweight. They're simple. There's no magazines needed. They're legal everywhere. They'll be legal probably forever. Don't laugh. If you're really tight on money, think about it. Single shot. Now, I'm going to circle back to the ammunition loadouts. My recommendation, just my opinion. Again, that's this whole video. It's just my opinion. Based on a lot of experience, though. Why are we adding a tactical carbine or similar, or just rifle to our mix when Nutnfancy said that 80 to 90% of our self-defense needs can be handled by, well, a 9mm pistol, even a value one? And the answer is that gap, we'll call it 20%, is a very important gap because a pistol is hard to shoot well, especially under stress, especially if the range increases. Don't believe me? Go to the range and try to do headshots standing after doing 20 jumping jacks, and try do headshots on bad guy at 25 yards. I've seen a lot of guys do it, and I've seen pretty much all of them fail. There's a lot of talk, a lot of chatter, stuff I've been busting on the whole time, all this AI horse shit of guys acting like they're all, oh, I can do this, and then I step them up to the line, and they're all over, and they're, oh, I think my gun's off, my sights are off. No, dude, you suck. You know, walk quietly and carry a big stick is my motto. Is just don't brag, just shut your mouth, let your rounds speak for themselves, because we all have bad days. I certainly do. Pistols are hard to shoot. They're underpowered. I made that case already, is that when serious stuff goes down, I don't want to be slinging a 9mm, a 40 Smith, a 357. 44 Magnum, a little bit better. You know, what's another one? 38 Special. No, thank you. I want a rifle caliber as a fight stopper. And it's often been said, and with good reason, that we use a pistol to fight our way to a rifle if we're really serious about defending our lives. I totally believe that. You're going to have much better obstacle penetration. Maybe even if bad guys wearing body armor, you'll have better penetration. 9mm won't stop. I mean, a level 2 vest will stop it. 3A certainly. You have more standoff capability. You have an ability to project force at a longer range versus a pistol. That may be important in that 20% margin. Maybe you're trying to keep people away from an area and you've warned them and they're not doing it. And another benefit is they can see an AR-15 from long ways away. It has somewhat of an intimidation factor to it. It might also make you a target, but if you can somehow gather with some other dudes, it's more intimidating versus just holding up one pistol, which they may not see at range, by the way. They couldn't see that. AR-15 with tack gear on, sometimes in certain situations is good to wear it proud and loud. More intimidation is good and easier to hit with. That's why we go with that. And it does add more capability, but it also adds more expense. You're probably going to want to add an optic to that gun, but I'm going to say just keep irons on it. We're going low ball on this, you know, how to prep on the cheap guns. Don't put an optic on it. Just get good with irons. Maybe, just maybe, you can put a weapon light on it to illuminate those irons. I've shot that way many times. You should be able to hit, you know, a deer-sized target out to 200 yards with iron sights. I wouldn't say with no problem. You're going to have good stability, good breath control, and basically good marksmanship skills to have that happen. You will have to practice with it, but it's doable. When I was in the military, I didn't do it frequently, but every now and again I would shoot with my National Guard competition team. We shoot M16s. I think we were shooting out to, I know, at least 400 meters, maybe 500 meters on irons, and I did okay. I wasn't in the, you know, the top 5 shooters, but I was probably in the top 10 every time. And that's just with a standard M16 post, which I think are entirely too thick for precision work. But point is, irons still work. In this age of, well, we got to have every whiz-bang accessory, make it lightweight, make it simple, make it cost-effective, just stay with irons. If later on you have more money, you can put a 1x8 scope on there. I'll put my faves down below. There's an op mod now on sale. It'll be sold out probably by the time I do this video. At Optics Planet, that scope is insane. For the money, insane. 1-8, illuminated, great reticle. How much ammo, how many mags? I'm going to say you need 1,000 rounds of defensive ammunition. Now, what do I mean by defensive? Does that mean it has to be soft point? No. It can be FMJ, because if 5.56 can do a lot of damage because it's so fast. I think the threshold is 2,800 feet per second. I'd probably stick with a longer barreled version one, if at all possible. You get more velocity out of that, but you can do FMJs. I use FMJs defensively all the time. To go get something more exotic is going to be way more expensive. And then I would say 1,000 rounds for practice. So 2,000 overall bare minimum. Those two groups of ammunition could be the same, since we're talking FMJ. So you could have,
I like it
let's
a
see,
lot.
I'm using Fiocchi Range Dynamics. Another one is Norma Tactical. I just killed a skunk with FMJ Norma Tactical, and it did fine. Granted, it's a skunk, but big skunk. I used my AGM Rattler thermal scope to do so. Notice, by the way, I'm sticking with 5.56. I'm not going to 300 blackout, 6.8 SPC, any exotic cartridge. I'm staying away from 308. Those are too expensive for you. And the 5.56, if loaded properly, can get the job done. Speaking of which, Nutnfancy, what bullet weight should I buy? Just get 55 grain. I'm a big fan of 75 and 77 grain, but they are expensive. I think the gun is transformed, in my experience, hitting steel out in the desert. It's like shooting a different gun when you're shooting 75s or 77s. Not so much 69s, depends on the wind, depends on the winds. Just go with 55s. And from here to 200 meters with, the Sasquatch you'll be shooting at, you'll be fine. 55s. Now, I have one value gun here. Now, this is an AR-15 pistol. It's going to kind of fly in the face what I just said, go with a longer barrel. And this was in 300 blackout. It's just in for testing right now. Watch for its review. This is made by a company called Grunt. The reason I'm bringing this on the camera is because it's a value gun. Now, I'm not going to say that this is going to be the least expensive form of AR-15. It isn't. But it is from a kind of a lesser known manufacturer. I'd never heard of them before, but they're using great components, and this thing has been testing extraordinarily well. Accurate, reliable, good internals, pinned, staked. I don't know if it's MPI or not, but for the amount of rounds it'll see, who cares? Speaking of which, do I have to get, like a Daniel Defense, FN, Noveski, Bravo Company, AR-15 Nutnfancy? The answer is no. You're not going to be putting that many rounds through it. And those guns, including the one I just held up to the camera, it'll have a service life easily of, I would say, 5,000 rounds without any breakages, just from my own experience. You go into competition, you're running a gun hot and heavy all the time. I mean, really heating the gun up and going to competition after competition. That's when you want to buy those better guns that use every bit of quality you can muster. There you go. And now when I say the words full stop, you're done. So you have a 9mm pistol. Okay, let's say you got this wicked looking Canic, and now you have a value AR-15. Let's say it's a Smith & Wesson M&P Sport 3. And no, they didn't pay me to say that. Done. 9mm pistol, AR-15. Done. With all the ammunition I've talked about. Maybe an optic, maybe a couple accessories here and there. There you go. I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. You're going, Nutnfancy, what about the damn shotgun, bro? Well, I would say, okay, if you're tickling the bear, I will continue down the shotgun road. Okay? Prepping on the cheap, guns, shotgun. Do I love it? You know I love it. A shotgun's awesome. A combat shotgun? Damn, son. And I have several here. Let me bring this up. So this is a great representation of a very high value, previously reviewed shotgun. Here's a Winchester SXP with an extended magazine tube. Forget about that optic on it. You don't have money for it. If you don't have money for this, for me in Patreon, you sure as a shit don't have money for a Holosun. I'd rather have you be in Patreon paying me than you get a damn red dot on your shotgun. That being said, I do love them. I think red dots on shotguns are fantastic. This is a great shotgun. It's very high value. Now, this one is made in Turkey. It's not a U.S. produced. They brought the Winchester one back. Not U.S. produced, but I will tell you, it has ran very, very well. Jardine and I tested this in Operation Valkyrie, and it's seen rounds ever since. Extended magazine tube. This is a fantastic gun. Really is. Let's go into philosophy of use, however, because you may have sensed a little bit of hesitancy from me about getting a shotgun. Why is that? Because a combat shotgun is a lot to manage, and frankly, from what I've seen in the project, most guys are not really up to it. When you're shooting full power, not reduced power, not Aguila mini shells or some gay ammunition like that, it's a lot to manage, and I don't know if dude can really handle it and to hit well with it. When you run a combat shotgun, and I'm not the end-all expert, be talking about this, but I have modeled it ever since 2008 in the project a lot. So I've shown you me shooting a shotgun. I kind of can do well with them. What I'm saying is that you really have to have kind of a man up attitude and be ready for the recoil and to be super aggressive with that machine. You got to lean into it. You got to be aggressive and just go from target to target. You got to be shucking and loading shells all the time, assuming it's a tube fed shotgun. It's a lot. It's not a matter of you just picking up the shotgun and aiming it in the general direction like the movies show and you're going to hit what you're shooting at. No. With a modified choke, even an improved cylinder, you'd be amazed at how you can miss the target very easily, even from 20 yards away. I've seen it many times. That's why. The ammunition is heavier, much heavier. You're going to have much less ammunition versus your 9mm pistol, your AR-15, than you will with shotgun. It's harder to carry. You need special systems. I might is a big might. I can only do 5 cards. Might put a card in there, talk about tactical ammunition carrying things that I've used in the past. Right now I'm just fishing out of a pouch, and that seems to work quite well, especially for just testing. I talked about the recoil for sure. It has a shorter range. So it's not a gun that I would be engaging out to 50 yards with just double-aught. Definitely not number 4 buck. Yes, I know there's slugs, but that brings its whole complication to the scenario. Trying to keep straight what you have loaded. Is it bird shot, double-aught buck? Is it slugs? Oh shit, I forgot. Again, in the fog of war, all this stuff will transpire. There's complications. Can it be conquered? Can you train with it and get good at it? Absolutely. There's 3-gun guys that are very good. Competition guys, I've always said, are the ones that really know how to shoot because they're practicing all the time. They're putting a lot of lead down range. They get to know their systems. They get to know what breaks, what doesn't break. So it would seem, after saying all that, that I might be down on shotguns. That's not it at all, because I think they're just the ultimate fight stopper if the range is proper. Like if I'm within 15 yards, double-aught buckshot with a semi-automatic 12-gauge shotgun, fight's over. I don't care if the dude's got body armor on, doesn't matter. There'll be so much lead thrown on the target so rapidly, it'll be ugly. That's why I love shotguns. They are the ultimate fight stopper. And if you do get in a mix of people, I would always have a combat shotgun in the mix. If I'm an entry team, shotguns coming along. It may be AR-15, M4, backup pistols, shotgun. You will see that. It's very standard in a stack in law enforcement that knows what the hell they're doing, or in military circles that know what the hell they're doing. A shotgun's going to be right there. Even in combat, like in trenches, door to door, where the fighting is close. This is including the world wars, like World War I, World War II, Vietnam War, Korean War. Shotguns were all part of that, and there's a reason. Fight stoppers, given their very real limitations. I mentioned semi-automatic shotguns. I think that's what you should concentrate on. I think the semi-auto shotguns for quite some time have become so great, and let me show you one right here, and so excellent in their construction. And since we're going with value shotguns, here comes a Mac Tac 2 Tactical in Marine Cerakote. Actually, this might be nickel, but I mean, the quality on this machine is just insane for the low price. The testing is complete on this gun, and I will tell you, it didn't jam once. Low base, high base, birdshot. It says you need a break-in, I think, of 200 rounds. It was great right out of the gate. That's an extended magazine I put on it. It comes with a 5-rounder, 5+1. That's extended, so now it's 8+1. This thing is insane. Picatinny rail, great sights on it. Although that's polymer, because it's a value shotgun. I don't care. It's fine. Polymer trigger guard, don't care. Turkish walnut. Screw and chokes. Song and a dance. Would I recommend this as a go-to-war shotgun? Absolutely. I told you I wasn't going to give you options that the internet would go, oh yeah, that's the best shotgun. They're going to talk about Benelli, Beretta, which are great guns. You can go with a pump gun. Here's the Tokarev TX3. I've reviewed this one. Extended mag on it. This thing was, I'll say a price. I spent like $225 on this. Not more for the extended magazine. This is a great pump shotgun. That's that's polymer still, actually. No, that's a metallic sight with Picatinny rail. Heat guard on there. This one does not have screw and... Oh, it does. Sorry. It does have screw and choke tubes. But, dude, for that, it's almost free. Pump shotguns require their own level of training, comfort factor. You're going to have to get used to it. But look at the amount of gun we get with a shotgun, amount of stopping power, amount of intimidation factor looking at that big bore for a low amount of money. At least for the gun purchase. At least for the gun purchase. Not so much for the ammunition, because here I'm going to spend some money for you. If you're going to get a combat shotgun, I'm going to say you get 250 defensive, 250 practice, minimum. If you choose to get a magazine-fed shotgun, and yes, there are some good ones, I will mention some.
For the money, damn.
You're going to have to probably get at least 4 magazines for that. But 250, I would say just double-aught buckshot, maybe 100 rounds of slug. That's expensive. You're going to be spending some money on that. Those 2 rounds have gone way up. I mean, the amount of money I'm spending when I tested this shotgun, I mean, we're talking like hundreds and hundreds of dollars of ammunition I'm buying at Gunny's. Really paid for by Patreon donors. Thank you, Patreon donors. Become one. Stay there for the rest of your life. Double check your payment method. Nobody does. Your credit card expires all the time. So update it just like you do with Netflix. I hope you guys don't join Netflix. Thank you. Let's say 300 birdshot. So 250 defensive, we never touch or rarely touch. 250 high base pheasant load. And then 300 rounds birdshot. That's what we're training out of, and that's what we will replenish. And I said 100 round slug, 50 at the bare minimum. But again, that requires training, sighting your gun in for slugs, knowing where it hits. Training, practice. There's another one I want to show you too. This is a badass gun. It's from the same company. These are made in Turkey. This is actually the MAC 1014, I think, if I'm saying this right. This thing's badass. It's tested quite well. Kind of heavy, though. Kind of a Benelli copy. Yeah, bro. 8 pounds, 6 ounces. That forend on this is just so super duper heavy. But notice it's ported. Screw and chokes. This is a 5-round tube. It needs to be extended. Has a very Benelli-esque stock. But this is a great gun. And what do you know? I just put a cheapo red dot on this one. Something I had laying around. Watch for the reviews of all these. I'm saying automatic shotguns because they fire so very quickly if you know what you're doing. And they're just easier to manipulate. I see guys doing way better with an automatic or semi-automatic shotgun than I do with a pump shotgun. That's just me. You can get good with pump. They are very fun to run. Practice, practice, practice.
Mag on order.
Models to get. Well, again, we could be here all night, but I would say the Stoeger M3000. That's a semi-auto. I know a lot of TNPrs bought that off my review. Fantastic. Also made in Turkey. Do not laugh at the Turkish firearms industry. It is legit.
Right,
I've proven that over and over and over again. If you don't like the politics, go somewhere else. P3000, that's a pump shotgun. That tested very well. Tokarev TBP12 bullpup. Tested extraordinarily well. Buckshot, birdshot, pheasant loads, high base, low base. Amazing. The MAC 1014, I just showed you that. It's an M2 clone. There's another one called the Agency Tradesman, testing very well. Tokarev TX3, I showed you that one. The Rock Island Armory VR60, it's an AR-12. Believe it or not, go watch my review. It tested very well. I bought that gun. I just don't have it here. It was just so inexpensive. I should have it here. TAC 2 series. There's some other ones that, I don't know, it's just kind of hit and miss. Be safe and just buy the ones I review. I'll tell you if they suck, if they don't. For instance, there's another Rock Island Armory. I think it's a VR80 that did not test well. I'm just going off memory, though. Used 870s from Remington. Used Mossberg 500s. Used Mossberg 590s. All great shotguns. And there's a ton of Turkish hunting shotguns that you could actually put an extended tube on. They may have a ventilator rib on it, longer barrel. Some of these you can buy at Walmart. But yeah. Shotguns are amazing, but they come with a price in terms of weight, training, practice, and comfortability with it. And we're done, boys. Full stop. What the hell? There's some other calibers and guns I'm not going to address because you don't have money. 22s I didn't talk about, 17 HMRs I didn't talk about, 5.728s. Although you might make the case, hey, I'm going to use a pistol in 5.728. Okay, I think you'd be better off with a 9mm, but okay. I mean, there's some specialty rounds that I've covered. The big picture is 3 guns, bare minimum support ammunition, magazines, some accessories, doable. But we're, again, for the whole show here, I'm just saying you just don't have money for anything else. Okay? And your option always exists of not to be armed at all and just run away. Good luck with that, by the way. What's my take? Well, I mean, I'm blessed by God. I mean, I have a ton of airsoft guns, no real ones, of course. But I have, my systems are fleshed out, bro. I mean, as good as a small arm system can be, I've been there for many, many years with the training, practice to employ them however I need to employ them. But you guys are a big part of that, though, because I wouldn't be doing this level of shooting without the Nutnfancy project. I'm going to be honest. I mean, I would probably be bare minimum twice a year, maybe 3 times a year, getting my tactical rounds downrange just to stay in tactical shape. But there you go. I look forward to your comments. Thank you so much. Let me know if this helps for you guys who are just starting out. Maybe you're coming to the Nutnfancy project for the first time. You're young and impressionable, and maybe this will help you focus up. Again, remember I said after each gun, I said full stop. You don't have to go down and get a 9mm and then get an AR-15 and then get a shotgun. You don't have to. It's really up to you. See you next video. This was fun. Bye-bye.